Hey guys, Tripl-L here to talk about Kagurabachi chapter 63. Bros, this is such a good chapter. It's very simple, but it is so good. Like, bros, come on, man. Come on. I don't usually get really excited about the art or the choreography. Really, it's the choreography. The choreography is way better. The choreography is so good that there is no way that a low or medium budget anime is ever going to be able to fluidly do this. There is no way that we're ever in a low to medium budget anime. And the reason I say that is because I feel like Mappa could do it. I don't think Ufotable could do it. I think Mappa could do it. Maybe top tier Bones could do it. But this whole sequence with this page going into this page, yeah, bro, come on. You think that's gonna be one fluid frame or one fluid sequence? Nah. It feels bad because what could most likely happen in a mid-tier to low-tier animation is that it just flat out lifts a lot of the panels from the manga. When you see these moments, it just goes from that straight to this, right? With no kind of seamless transition. It's just straight lifting, Record of Ragnarok style. Man, it's just so good. And now I have to wonder, does the physics make sense here? Can you actually do one fluid sequence for that sequence? I think you could, but I think it'd be a money shot. I think it'd be a gigantic money shot. Oh my gosh, if someone has examples of where we've done this before, and not the Akira thing, not the whatever Akira reference is going on here, but a nice fluidity kind. Actually, you know what? Who did Attack on Titan? I feel this kind of fluidness you could see in Attack on Titan. Anyway, I really hope that the anime is high budget because you're gonna need that, bro. This is so cool. Okay, look. Overall, I think I'm done gushing. I think it is a very good chapter. For the fundamental point of it. And if there was something about Kagurabachi that I think I'm noticing, is that when Kagurabachi focuses on a message or an idea and it just hammers it down, we really see it. And another thing that I'm kind of noticing here is I look at this and I can't help but think of Sakamoto days. Also, I can't help but think of Sakamoto days because Viz Media had they made a screw up on their banner image for the week, and they originally covered up Shihiro's face with Sakamoto's apron. So it was a funny goof. If you saw Viz last week, you probably would have seen that goof on that banner image. Anyway, back to this. I think Kagurabachi has taken some cues from Sakamoto days. And the reason that I say that is because Sakamoto Days is the most recent manga that would do something like this panel right here. If you follow Sakamoto Days, you know that Sakamoto Days, when it went into its battles, it started incorporating the civilian aspect. Now in Sakamoto Days, people are doing, or the assassins are doing amazing things while the civilians are in the background, and the civilians aren't really getting hurt. But this kind of idea of urban warfare where civilians are right there and you're really taking advantage of the environment and you're doing crazy things like this, I do think Sakamoto Days did it first, and I think the way that Sakamoto Days went about doing it, I think has probably influenced Kagurabachi. Because right now it's kind of interesting that we are in extreme urban combat series, and both of them, Sakamoto Days and Kagurabachi, are at the top of the magazine. I think that's really interesting. I actually kind of wonder if we're moving towards extreme involvement of civilians and civilian architecture in Battle Shonen. Because let me just very quickly think about how often do we have civilian involvement to this degree, and also at the Kabuki theater show. To for Sakamoto Days I think is probably the gold standard right now. But they don't because the assassins act a certain way, you don't get the civilians doing too much other than seeing the crazy things the assassins are doing. But let's just very quickly think Naruto's civilians populations they do nothing. They're not involved to this degree. They're not imperiled to this degree. Not really. Naruto was like among the combatants almost all the time. Bleach, not even worth pointing out. You never like Aizen and Ichigo fight in an empty city. There's no civilian casualty even a possibility there. My Hero Academia. Nah, civilians are like the heroes do such a good job of removing civilians ahead of time that majority of the time you don't have civilians being part of like giant set pieces. And again, when I say a giant set piece, like we're talking about that kind of shit, bro. Not like something like All Might standing in front of one civilian girl that couldn't get away because the wreckage fell on top of her. Like this is way more involved. So my overall point here is that among the big shonen manga, I don't think we've seen this kind of involvement of civilians. Let me just think. Black Clover? No, I don't think the civilians are involved like that. Like they're not those kind of big set pieces as we've seen before. Of course, again, Sakamoto Days is the gold standard, but like that's my memory. If anyone's got any examples from Shonen Jump manga that heavily feature civilian architecture getting involved, please let me know. Oh, I just noticed this guy holds his like pinky out as he's like going for it. Okay, anyway. So that was my point on Sakamoto Days. Anyway, really good chapter. So overall, like you saw the whole thing with the chapter. The point is, Chihiro's like, guy's been doing a lot. It's freaking intense. And so we have this first moment about, yo, other people will be able to help out. They're also highly skilled. Now the thing with Kagurabachi is because other people tend to die pretty often. I wouldn't be surprised if like, you know, he's hearing these people say that they're a team and he's thinking like, yeah, but a lot of people have worked in a team before and they've died. Now the big difference there is that they usually die when someone else is holding like a crazy powerful sword, but still, they are dealing with really dangerous enemies, and because of the body count that's already been amassed, I wouldn't be surprised if this kid is worried about it somewhere deep inside. Like I think it actually is a big thing that he's putting his faith in them and believing in them, because like, bro, I don't know, like if I was a guy like him who had seen nothing but death, I wouldn't believe these guys at all. I wouldn't trust these guys at all, man. Anyway, the overall morals are really cool. And I think one of the best aspects about it is just the fact that someone has seen the kid, right? When you go through this little sequence here and he's talking about acknowledging everything that the kid has been through, it's like, yeah, this is really cool. This is cool. You're acknowledging his experiences. Like this makes the main character feel really valid. I see nothing but good writing in this little setup of how we go from him being told to trust people. Here's why these guys really get him. Here's why you should like believe in us, because we're going to try and make things better for you so that you don't have to be constantly worrying about civilians. Everything's good. And so, of course, when you have that gigantic buildup and you have him acknowledging that his load got a little bit lighter, with everyone showing how valuable they are in this team effort, this is the way to show a team. This is the way to, in a situation where you have weak characters, and this is going to be kind of interesting because like, can you even call them weak? Like they're weak relative to the sword users, I guess. But in a situation where you have weak characters, creating a situation where your main powerhouse doesn't have to worry about smaller goals, this is really smart. If you were writing novels and you have a giant cast and you're afraid of like having a situation where you have one main overpowered character and everyone else is just kind of lame, like if you look at Bleach, you know, you have Ichigo there, but like Orihime and Chad, what can they really do, right? When you have such a gigantic power imbalance and you want those characters to feel useful and not to get shit on by the readers, like you have to come up with ways of creating sub goals that readers could easily connect to the main goal. And in this case, again, having Chihiro here and just the way that the whole, I'm not gonna lie, the art really helps it, because you see him here the whole time. Like he's coming closer with every panel. It's like the build up for this was amazing. Anyway, wrapping it all together, when you have weak characters or characters that aren't the main character and you want them to feel useful, doing something like this would be the best way to do it. This is so respectable. It respects everyone. It respects the good person that Chihiro is trying to be. It respects the actual value of life. I really cannot stop singing or like singing the praises of this chapter just on the technical merits of what it presented here. And of course, like, the art game for it, I think, is what elevates this to like a ridiculous degree. I don't think this is going to be something that's going to be easily replicated in any time. I think this is so good that I don't think the anime is going to be able to do it justice. In all honesty, I don't think they'll be able to, like, again, I'm ready to be proven wrong, but I just don't see it happening. Like, this is really cool overall. But yeah, this is one of those rare moments where the build-up presented in the art, the intensity of the shots, you see Chihiro coming closer, and just this overall idea about like, yo bro, we know what you're about, we're going to aid you. Like, this is a real good support unit. Now, in terms of team play, like when it comes to team play, like one of the gold standards in Shonen Jump to me, I won't say World Trigger, because World Trigger, like, that is compromised now because the author is in bad health and all that kind of stuff, but World Trigger technically had team play. But really the big team play one, it would have been Black Clover. Black Clover was really heavy on team play, because in Black Clover, interestingly enough, the whole meta of Black Clover is Asta has to get to the enemy and whack them with a stick, pretty much. So Black Clover's fights were always about how do you get Asta to the enemy. So it's actually really funny. The same way that these guys support Samura, or they support Chihiro, like those guys in the Black Bulls would also support Asta. So like they technically had great team play, but like the art game was never at this level. And like the story itself, this little bit of reflection right here, analyzing the character and acknowledging what he's about and what he's going through and why exactly he needs to be helped. You don't really get that in Black Clover, because Black Clover doesn't have that emotional depth for this kind of stuff. So honestly, for this chapter, I feel like so many things just came together and it created the perfect package. I really cannot praise it enough. I think the things that you see here, the fundamental principles, I'm not going to talk about the art, but the fundamental principles of the storytelling is something that if you were interested in writing, this is definitely 100% one of the top chapters that I would put down as something that you should keep in mind. And you know, it's actually kind of rare, like when it comes to like writing advice that you could derive from manga, in my opinion. This is my opinion, of course. Usually you have to be looking over the course of many chapters to actually get the solid writing advice. For example, for Horikoshi, in My Hero Academia, there are some ideas that you can pull out, but you'd have to see them over the course of many chapters. There are some exceptions, like All for One. All for One, in terms of his character work, was something that you could pull out in one chapter, because All for One's character was always very consistent. But something like why exactly did All for One become an MVP in the final arc of Hero Academia? That's an analysis that you pull out by looking at many chapters. And like the reason that All for One's an MVP in My Hero Academia, spoilers, is because he allows other characters to flourish. He allows other characters to have cool moments. Like, he's an enabler. He's an enabler character. He's the one that allows people to get like those really nice moments that are going to get nicely animated. Anyway, it's really hard in manga to have one chapter that can really be used as a case study for like how to approach a particular situation, or show an example of like good usage of side characters. But yeah, overall, chapter 63 of Kagurabachi, I mean, like, man, for the way that I talked about it, shit, man, it's gonna have to be my favorite chapter, bro. Gonna have to be my favorite chapter. I don't think there's anything that's gonna really be able to beat this moment, man. Like, bro, like, come on. Come on. Also, this is a stupid way of holding a sword. This is a really stupid way of holding a sword. Like, he's got the back of the blade supported by his arm. Like, he's in trouble. That's a stupid way of holding a sword. He's so lucky he's super powered, bro. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought down below, and till next time, have a great day.